What's up guys, and welcome back to another episode of the Summer Career Mode. This is episode number 23 and we're starting to do some stuff on the back of our win over Rangers in the penultimate game of the Champions League group stage. So just 1 point needed from our final game to guarantee top spot, but of course qualification is already in the bag. We're starting to do some stuff with Juventus away in Turin at the Juventus Stadium, and today guys, I kind of wanted to talk about something different than the gameplay, if that's alright, as we take on Juve, the old lady here. And it's because I might sound a little bit different. It's because I'm in a different room. I'm in a different house. Yes, I've just moved house finally. For those of you that haven't been reading the descriptions or keeping up to date with me on X, formerly known as Twitter, which is of course at JonaDocks. Feel free to follow me. I'm at JonaDocks everywhere now. I've just moved. I've moved out of my my old house share that I was in for the past 3.5 years, just over 3.5 years actually. And into a new house share. Basically, the landlord had put the rent up a couple of times, and yeah, I just couldn't afford it anymore. It's totally fine because obviously with the cost of living going up in the UK like massively, and inflation and interest rates rising as well, makes total sense. I wasn't angry about it or anything like that. I just accepted that no longer I could afford to live in that location, so I've moved into a different place. It's all right. Got everything set up last night, and I still need to figure out how to get everything right in terms of the internet. It's a bit weird at the moment. The internet's not really working for me, so I need to do a bit more research on that. But I must be the least tech savvy 30-year-old you'd ever meet. Honestly, I sound like a boomer when it comes down to talking about tech, because I have no idea what I'm doing. I can't really get the internet sorted. I'll figure it out, don't worry. And I'll need to figure out, of course, as I want to start streaming when EASFC 24 gets released as well. But anyway, I've moved into a new place, so that's why I might sound slightly different, because the room is bigger, but I'm not in quite as nice of a place as I was before. And I guess today I kind of wanted to talk about, setbacks, learning from loss, learning from mistakes, learning from failure, how you respond to that, how you change your mindset, and moving forward, what you can take from these experiences here, because life is not heaven. That's the truest quote you'll ever hear me say. Life is not heaven, and obviously you're going to encounter a lot of setbacks, a lot of failure, a lot of loss in your life, and sometimes these moments, they kind of come in quick succession as well, and I definitely have been feeling this way recently. So, obviously I don't get as personal as I used to nowadays. I think I need to start opening up a little bit more, though. I've been very reluctant to do that over the past 24 months, I'd say, really, because, a few years ago I let you guys in behind the curtain and told you that unfortunately my dad had cancer, and he'd just had a brain tumor removed, and basically he needed care. I wanted to let you guys in behind the curtain with that because it was a very tough time for me, of course. It would be for anyone, obviously. It was a very tough time for me, but I wanted to let you guys know what was going on and what the current situation was. And you guys were very, very, understanding and very, very supportive and loving, and I can't say thank you enough for that. As what a goal it was by Lorenzo Colombo, by the way, with the dummy through the legs and then the finish as well. But I'll let you guys know about that. And then straight after that, I realised I was oversharing a little bit. My dad is obviously still here for now, but it'll never be the same again. Obviously, we're still dealing with his current decline, if you will, and it's not easy. It's a lot tougher for my brother, really, more than anyone, because I'm up north in Manchester, but he's actually down south within the area where my dad and my dad's family are currently based in. So, of course, he's the one that's sort of dealing with most things and taking the brunt of the things he needs to take care of my dad for. So, arranging the care and being there himself when the care is not available. So it's tough for my brother, really, more than anyone. He's been an absolute warrior, during this time. I tell him quite often how thankful I am, but clearly not often enough, because it's unbelievable to think what he has to deal with on a near daily basis. But anyway, moving away from that, I realised that I was sort of oversharing a little bit, and I don't know if this is the right phrase to use, but trauma dumping, if you will. It's not really my direct trauma to deal with, because my dad is going through the sharp health decline himself, but I felt as though maybe on YouTube I was doing a bit of what you call like trauma dumping. Again, I don't know if that's the right phrase or not, but it makes sense. But I felt as though I was just oversharing a little bit. I was being too overbearing. I was being a little bit too negative, and I just wasn't really doing my job as a YouTuber, which obviously is to entertain and to give you guys 15, 20, 30 minutes a day, whatever it may be, depending on the videos that I'm producing and what gets uploaded and how long the videos are, where you guys can sit down, relax, and enjoy what I have to offer. I know some of you guys put the video on, listening in the background whilst you're studying or you're gaming yourselves, or perhaps you just want to sit down and just enjoy, to actually just enjoy being able to relax. And of course, it's not easy to do that when the content creator themselves is actually talking a lot about the negative things that are affecting them personally. So I decided it was probably a good idea to stop sharing as much, if you will, and just decide to take a step back in that. But I think that when you do that, you sort of do lose the personal element to YouTube as well. So I feel as though maybe over the past, again, 12, 18, 24 months, you guys haven't really felt like you've known me as much. You guys haven't really felt like you've sort of known, what's going on in my life and just known me personally, which I've always felt is probably one of the biggest draws to me as a YouTuber. I often say this, like, I don't see myself as a YouTuber. Whenever I say my audience, I never say fans. I don't like the word fans because I don't see you guys as fans. I see you guys as friends. And I think this is probably to my detriment in terms of growth, because I think if you want to be like a social media person, if you want to be a YouTuber or an Instagrammer or an influencer or whatever else, you kind of need a certain level of ego, which anyone that knows me in real life will tell you I've got none. I think you need like a kind of level of like, you need to feel as though you're the most important person there is, and you need to have that kind of element of like, oh, everyone wants to pay attention to me. I'm literally like the worst person to do this job if that's the case, because I always say I don't feel like, I'm a YouTuber and then I've got fans. I feel as though I'm kind of like your mate that does YouTube. Do you know what I mean? Like in a group of friends, everyone's got like that mate or that friend that's got a few thousand Instagram followers and gets a couple of sponsorship deals a year, or they've got like a TikTok channel that's got like 200,000 followers or whatever. Everyone in a friendship group seems to have one person that actually has like a little bit of a social media following. I kind of just feel like I'm that guy for you guys. You know what I mean? Like I'm the guy. I'm the guy that does YouTube, or your mate that does YouTube. So basically, I feel as though if that's the case, then I kind of need to be more personal and opening up myself a little bit, because I feel as though, again, over the past 12, 18, 24 months, maybe I haven't done that enough, primarily due to the fear of sounding too negative and, not being able to be positive. I've made a real conscious effort, again, over the past 2 or 3 years of trying to look at things more positively. But the truth of the matter is, sometimes things aren't positive, sometimes things are negative, and sometimes, going back to the original point of today's video, sometimes things are a real struggle and life can be a proper bitch, like I'm just being totally honest here. And I think that is the phase that I've been through, again, over the past maybe 12 to 18 months. So for context, like financially, things have taken a major turn for the worse for me. I feel like I was doing, okay and doing well enough with your guys' support on Patreon and just YouTube in general paying out okay for me, which meant I was living, reasonably comfortably to the point where I wasn't worried month after month whether I could afford rent and whether I could afford my bills and so on and so forth. And of course now that is the case. I've had to move because I wasn't able to afford my my rent in my close to city centre house share, so I've moved to one slightly further away. Things have been a little bit trickier for me. I haven't been able to do the things I always wanted to do. My savings account is depleted quite a bit as well. I've treated myself to a couple of things, mainly on the advice of my friends and my family as well, basically just saying you're 30, like you deserve to live your life, and not feel bad about it. Working with my therapist really helped me understand that as well. But outside of that, I was in a relationship last year. We dated for just over half a year, I think it was, and then we made the mutual decision to separate. So I'm back to singlehood and have been for literally just over 12 months. That's wild. Literally just over 12 months now, almost to the day. So things haven't been great in that regard either. And in terms of mental health, I've definitely taken a little bit of a step back as well. I feel like I was doing a really good job over the past couple of years of helping battle my depression, if you will. But things have definitely taken a bit of a step back in that regard. I've noticed I've started to have a bit more suicidal ideation. Not intention, I want to be clear, not intention, not suicidal plans. but more sort of fantasies. I think any of you out there that might suffer with significant and severe depression, you might possibly know what I'm talking about here when I say suicidal ideation and fantasy as opposed to intent and thought. More of a case of, God, it would be so easy if I just jumped in front of this train. Do you know what I mean? Like it's more that. It's not an actual, okay, I'm going to go to the train station at this time and jump in front of this train. It's more whilst you're waiting on the platform for a train and one's going past the platform and going through to its next destination, you just have that little thought just pops into your mind. And it goes, and as soon as the train goes past, it goes, and that's it. But you know, you do kind of have that every now and then, and I definitely have recently. You know, going to bed at night and thinking, God, I wish I don't wake up in the morning, knowing full well you will, and you take no steps to not have that be the case. But you just have that sort of impulsive kind of, again, not plan, more of a thought. It would be nice if things just ended tonight because I can't be doing this anymore. So depression definitely has been a lot worse for me as well. But in terms of, you know, these sort of like lessons and the things that have been making my life a lot tougher over the past 12 to 18 months, again, I've been working with a therapist for the past just over 2 years now. And I do feel like I've been able to learn quite a few things that have helped me kind of combat these thoughts, if you will, and help me kind of just be okay with that. And the thing that's really helped me the most is this phrase, and it's very, very simple, but it's, this too shall pass. And so working with my therapist and just reiterating this phrase every now and then has been really, really helpful, because I'm someone that tends to catastrophize a lot. Now I might possibly be relating to a few of you guys out there as well, because I'm sure there's at least a few of you out there that probably can relate to this, but I do tend to catastrophize quite a lot. I often say I'm not a pessimist, believe it or not. I'm certainly not an optimist, but I feel like I'm a realist. You know, I see things quite objectively, and I do see things from a more of an analytical standpoint, if you will. So when it comes down to love, for example, and relationships, I don't look at it like I used to. When I was younger, I used to think love was this kind of mystical, magical thing where it was fate, it was soulmates, it was destiny, there's someone out there for everyone, and so on and so forth, and eventually you'll find your partner. I read a book called Soul for Happy by Mo Gaudat. Really good book. Definitely recommend it. I'll leave a link to it in the description if you want to read it. But Mo, basically, the background to Mo is that he lost his son from a routine operation. His son died due to an error, or a combination of errors in the surgery. He lost his young son, who was like his best friend. And not long after that, he and his long-term wife and the son's mother actually broke up. Mo, despite being a phenomenal man with so much to offer and incredible wisdom and just a 5-star guy, you know, he is single, and he talked about love in the book from like a mathematical standpoint and an analytical standpoint, and talking about the chances and the probability of finding love when you add in all these tangibles and all these external factors. That's kind of how I look at things now as well. But of course, there is still the possibility, you know, it may well work out. You know, I may find that long-term partner, despite the fact I'm 31 in a few months. Oh God, that's hard to say. You know, it still may work out. And this phrase, this too shall pass, it really helps me kind of stop catastrophizing, because I do have this habit of being like, as soon as something negative happens, it's like, oh, I knew that was going to happen, nothing works out for me, and you go into this kind of like self-pity mode. It's like, nothing works out for me, this is terrible, and that means that the next thing I'm going to do is terrible, and this isn't going to work out, and I go into a venture, that's not going to work out, this day is going to go horribly, so on and so forth. But you know, just like good moments can pass as well, like the good moments that I was going through, you know, not that many years ago, that passes. So too can the negative moments as well, because you know, everyone is going to experience elements of negativity and tough loss and setbacks, because like I talked about earlier in the episode, that is just a part of the human experience. We're all going to go through tragic loss. For Mo, it was losing his son, you know, breaking up with his long-term wife and his son's mother, for example. For me, there can be many different things I can point to, but there are still moments in my life that have worked out. And the point I'm trying to make is that this too shall pass. It's a great phrase, and you can use it in both ways. Yes, the good times will not last forever because you don't always stay in this constant state of euphoria. It's impossible to have that in the human experience on this planet. But that also means that on the other side of the coin, it's the exact same as well. So whilst I can sometimes long for the days where, I was living in the city centre of Manchester and I was earning a bit more money and I was more popular on social media and I had a lot more followers and I had a lot more people checking in with me every day, and I, had a much better physical fitness level, and I was, it seemed succeeding more than I am right now. That passed, and I've moved past that. So the same can be said for the negative times as well. So there are things that are going on in my life right now, like I've mentioned in today's video, with my dad's rapidly declining health, to my financial situation, and so on and so forth. But if the good times can pass, then so too can these times as well. So ultimately, it's all about understanding that life, there is no constant. And I hate this saying. I want to point out I hate this saying. It's not the destination, it's the journey. I hate that saying. I really do, because I don't fully agree with it. But it is true in some ways, in the sense that once you get to that destination, you don't actually arrive there. You go on to another one, So life is just a constant journey and a constant moving, if you will. Like you're never sat. You're never stuck. Even right now, as I'm recording this video, in an hour, I'm going to start meal prepping. Like you're always doing something different. You're always moving on. Your state of mind, your mentality, everything, your physical situation, your physical location, whatever, everything's going to be changing. And that then means that the same can happen when it comes down to the way the world is kind of working for you right now. Maybe you're going through this tough time right now. I don't know. It's been exam day, hasn't it? A couple of days ago, or a few days ago, I think now, for youngsters in our country. I think A-level exams. Maybe you just got your A-levels. They're not what you wanted. Whatever the case may be. This too shall pass. You'll move on to something different. You'll go to a different college. You'll go to a different uni. You'll go and do this thing, you'll go and do that thing. Like, it will be different, I think back to when I was a kid and when I was in school, and I hated school, honestly. When people say stuff like, oh, school was the best days of your life, bollocks, I was rubbish, I hated it. To let you guys know behind the curtain, I occasionally have anxiety dreams now where I'm stuck in school. I hate it. I feared school. I did not like it. I felt like I was trapped there, Anyway, just getting away from that, the point is, I've moved past that, and now I do YouTube for a living, for now. I don't know how long it's got left, but I still do YouTube for a living, So the point I'm trying to make is that things will change, because life always changes. The one constant in life is that it's always change. Nothing stays the same, nothing remains the same. Father Time is undefeated. Every single living thing on this planet at one point will cease to exist. It is just the way of the world. It is just the way of life. It will cease to exist, and by very nature that means that the environment we're in, the situations we're in, the things we're going through, that would also change. Now you can look at that from both ways. The things that are going well, yeah, those can come to an end, thinking you finally found that partner like I did, and thinking this is the love that I've been waiting for, this is the one I've been waiting for, and it's all going to work out from here, and then it doesn't, But you can then use that lesson to show you that the negative times you had before that relationship spawned will pass, because life will always continue to move forward, and the constant state of change will never, ever stop. So yeah, if you are going through tough times, I certainly am right now, just try to remind yourself of that. You are never stuck, because life is never stuck. If life continues to move forward, then that means that by very nature, you will as well. Like it or not, you will get dragged forward, as we all do, which means you will eventually get dragged out of the situation you're in right now. That's it. I love you. Much love. Thank you for listening to me ramble and share. I hope it made some sort of sense. And if you are going through tough times like I am, I hope, if nothing else, you're able to feel some sort of relatability from me today. I love you guys very much. Much love. And I promise in the next one will be a little bit more upbeat. And I'll see you very soon.